The Double Ten, called the Xinhai Revolution, and the end of the Qing dynasty. The events of 1911 were a defining feature of China's history. It catalyzed an entire series of events lasted from October 1911 to February 1912 that led to fundamental change in China's political system. Also called the Xinhai Revolution, the Chinese Revolution of 1911 was the culmination of decades of social unrest and political weakness. Failed reforms, colonial pressure, and lack of harmony between various ethnicities inhabiting the Chinese Empire led to anger, yet unseen, towards the imperial regime. This event nowadays, China and Taiwan consider themselves the legitimate successors of the 1911 revolution. The Xinhai Revolution is commemorated in Taiwan every 10th of October as National Day, called Double Ten Day, marking the beginning of Taiwan, ROC. However, this is a historical commemoration, not an event that occurred in Taiwan on that date. The background to the Chinese Revolution. During the 19th century, China saw all of its influence and prestige collapse due to colonial pressure and the inability to respond to external threats. This period is remembered today as the Century of Humiliation. The Opium Wars in the mid-19th century. First Opium War, 1839 to 1842. The emperor during the First Opium War was the Daoguang Emperor, who ruled China from 1820 to 1850. The British were smuggling opium from their Indian colonies into Chinese ports against the wishes of the Chinese government, and it grows in astonishing rate. In Beijing, Emperor Daoguang must confront the huge dilemma and must stand on his people growing addiction and to stop the British flowing into his empire. In March 1839, he reaches a decision. He dispatches his uncorrupted official commissioner Lin Zexu in Canton to halt the opium trade. Lin Zexu arrived in Canton and implemented a strict policy to eradicate the opium trade. He ordered the confiscation of opium stocks from foreign merchants, mainly British, and demanded that future trade would be met with the death penalty. He arrested 1,500 Chinese dealers and confiscates 20,000 chests of opiums. Lin's forceful actions and the resulting seizure of British property escalated tensions with the British government. This, combined with other incidents like the killing of a Chinese villager by British sailors, that ultimately led to the outbreak of the First Opium War in 1839. But China was ultimately defeated by the British in the war. Second Opium War, 1856 to 1860. The emperor during the Second Opium War was the Xianfeng Emperor, who reigned from 1850 to 1861. As continued disputes over trade and other issues, escalating from an incident involving a British ship. The Britain and France combined forces and defeated China, leading to the legalization of the opium trade, opening more treaty ports like Shanghai, and further concessions from China. After China lost the Opium Wars to Great Britain and France, the colonial powers imposed harsh and unequal treaties on China. The reigning Qing dynasty attempted to enhance reforms in order to modernize its army and administration, but these efforts were spoiled by internal corruption and centralization of power in the hands of a strongly conservative court. The defeat in the First Sino-Japanese War in 1895 convinced Emperor Guangxu of the necessity to enlarge the reforms to the economic and social sphere. With the help of prominent reformists Kang Yue and Liang Qichao, Beijing managed to launch the 100 Days Reform in 1898. The reform programs were on multiple levels, allowing more voices on political and governance matters, adopting modern military training, promoting new industries and enterprises, abolishing the 8-legged essay in the Imperial examinations, and establishing the Imperial University of Peking. However, the abrupt reforms came without building support either at court or in the bureaucracy. This attempt was cut short by a conservative coup d'état perpetrated by Empress Dowager Cixi. While the monarch was put under house arrest, the reformists fled the country to avoid execution. The Empress Dowager not only put an end to Guangxu's reforms, but also encouraged the Boxer Rebellion against the influence of foreign dignitaries. This uprising took place from 1899 to 1901, during which foreigners and Chinese Christians were the targets of violence from ultra-conservative groups. This event led to a multinational military intervention in China that imposed harsh conditions, binding Beijing to the West by the Boxer Protocol. Following this additional humiliation, various anti-regime groups formed throughout the country. One of the most famous groups was the anti-Manchu movement of Zhou. Strongly nationalistic, this group aimed to remove the Qing dynasty, which had Manchu origins, and replace it with ethnically Chinese rulers. The reformists Kang Yue and Liang Qichao created the Emperor Protection Society, which demanded the return of Guangxu to power. Finally, the China Revival Society, led by Sun Yat-sen, had strongly revolutionary ideas and aimed at ending dynastic rule. Opposition to imperial rule. The dynasty was struggling for survival and rebellion was in the air. In the city of Wuchang, one of the three cities that make up the middle Yangtze metropolis of Wuhan, members of two dissident groups were working to bring down the Manchu monarchy that had ruled China since the 1640s. These were activists with intellectual objections to Qing rule. The two organizations were called the Progressive Association and the Literature Society, but their methods had left academic debate behind. Many revolutionaries and groups wanted to overthrow the Qing government to re-establish the Han-led government. The earliest revolutionary organizations were founded outside of China, such as Young Kuwan's Foreign Literary Society, which was created in Hong Kong in 1890. There were 15 members, including Said Santai, who made political satire such as The Situation in the Far East, one of the first manhua, and who later became one of the core founders of the South China Morning Post. Sun Yat-sen Revived China Society was established in Honolulu in 1894, the main purpose being raising funds for revolutions. These two organizations merged in 1894. Because Sun Yat-sen was in exile from China at the time, it was the first Chinese nationalist revolutionary society. Those admitted to the society swore the following oath: expel Tatar barbarians, revive China, and establish a unified government. In October 26, 1895, the first Guangzhou Uprising led by Sun Yat-sen and Young Kuwan, members of the Revived China Society, planned to launch an uprising in Guangzhou on the Double Ninth Festival. The Qing government was tipped off about the plan, which led to the arrest of over 70 revolutionaries, including Liu Haodong was executed, and Young Kuwan and Sun Yat-sen were forced to flee Hong Kong. Sun Yat-sen went into exile and promoted revolution, and raised funds in Japan, United States, Canada, and Britain. While Young Kuwan traveled to Johannesburg, South Africa, via Singapore to Chinese laborers and later to Japan, where he stayed from 1896 to 1899 to expand the Revived China Society and spread its ideas. In the summer of 1898, he met with Mariano Ponce, who was working toward the independence of the Philippines, and he provided guns to support Young Kuwan. August 23, 1900, after the Boxer Rebellion started, Tang Kaichong and Tan Sitong organized the Independence Army. Their goal was to overthrow Empress Dowager Cixi to establish a constitutional monarchy under the Guangxu Emperor. Their plot was discovered by the governors-general of Hunan and Hubei, leading to the arrest and execution of about 20 conspirators before the uprising could take place. October 8, 1900, Sun Yat-sen ordered the launch of the Huizhou Uprising. The Revolutionary Army was led by Zheng Shiliang and initially included 20,000 men. However, the uprising failed after about half a month, and the army was ordered to disperse. January 25 to 28, 1903, a very short uprising occurred in an attempt to establish a Great Ming Heavenly Kingdom. It involved Sai Santai, Li Jitong, and Hong Chuanfu, who had taken part in the Jintian Uprising during the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom era. In 1904, small revolutionary groups emerged. The Hua Xingwei, a China revival society by the notables Huang Xing, Zhang Shijiao, Chun Tianhua, San Yat-sen, Song Jiaoren, and 100 others. Its motto was take one province by force and inspire the other provinces to rise. The Guangfu Wei, a restoration society group in Shanghai by Kai Yuanpei. Members included Zhang Binglin and Tao Chengjiang and Xiao Jin. The Gelo Wei, Elder Brother Society Group, a secret society and underground resistance movement against the Qing dynasty. Their group was also known as Fu Taobang or Hatchet Gang. The revolutionary group would eventually develop a strong link with the later Chinese Communist Party, with Zhu De, Wu Yujiang, Liu Zhedan, and Ha Long. August 20, 1905, Sun Yat-sen led a coalition of groups that formed the Revolutionary Alliance, Tongmengwei. The revived China Society, the Hua Xingwei, and the Guangfu Wei merged into one group called Tongmengwei. When the Tongmengwei was established, more than 90% of their members were between 17 and 26 years old. In same year 1905, Ma Fui and Hua Xingwei was involved in an uprising in the areas of Pingxiang, Luoyang, and Liling. The Pinglu Li Uprising had recruited miners as early as 1903 to rise against the Qing ruling class. After the uprising failed, Ma Fui was executed. September 24, 1905, in Beijing Zhenjiangmen East Railway Station. Wu Yu carried out an assassination attempt targeting one of the 5 officials who sent to study foreign constitutional systems and appointed to investigate constitutional systems abroad. On May 22, 1907, in Chaozhou, Guangdong, China. The Wuchang Uprising was led by revolutionaries including Yu Chou and supported by the Japanese revolutionaries inspired by Sun Yat-sen, such as Kano Nagatomo. The revolutionaries captured Huanggang City, but were met with a swift and brutal response from the Qing government. The uprising lasted only 6 days before being defeated. The Qing forces successfully suppressed the revolt, and around 200 revolutionaries were killed. On June 2, 1907, in Huizhou, Guangdong, China, Sun Yat-sen sent more revolutionaries led by Deng Jiao and Chen Chuan. They killed several Qing soldiers. The Qing army fled in disorder, and the revolutionaries exploited the opportunity, captured several towns, and defeated the Qing army once again in Baziai. Many organizations voiced their support after the uprising, and the number of revolutionary forces increased to 200 men at its height. The uprising, however, ultimately failed. On July 6, 1907, in Anqing, Anhui, China, a revolutionary led by Su Shilin of Guangfu Wei. Their immediate goal was to assassinate the provincial governor of Anhui, Enming. The uprising was defeated after about 4 hours of fighting. Su Zilin was captured and beheaded, and his cousin, the revolutionary Xiao Jin, was executed a few days later. From August to September 1907, the Qinju Uprising occurred against heavy taxation by the Qing government. Sun Yat-sen sent Wang Heshun, a military leader, to assist the Revolutionary Army and captured the county in September. The revolutionaries fought bravely but ultimately failed to capture Qinzhou and retreated to the Shuandishan area. Wang Hushuan returned to Vietnam. On December 1, 1907, the Jian-Nan-Guan Uprising took place at Jian-Nan-Guan along the Chinese-Vietnamese border. San Yat-sen, Huang Xing, and Hu Han-min were present, with Huang Mingtang leading the initial assault. The uprising failed after 7 days of fighting. The Qing forces, led by Long Jiguang and Lu Rongting, counterattacked, and the revolutionaries were forced to retreat into the mountainous areas. After the uprising's failure, San Yat-sen was forced to move to Singapore due to anti-San sentiments within the revolutionary groups. He returned to the mainland China only after the Wuchang Uprising. In Tokyo 1907 to 1908, members from the recently merged Restoration Society raised doubts about Sun's credentials. Ta Cheng-hang and Zhang Binglin publicly denounced Sun with an open leaflet called A Declaration of Sun Yat-sen's Criminal Acts by the Revolutionaries in Southeast Asia. This was printed and distributed in reformist newspapers like Nanyang Zhonghui Bao. On April 30, 1908, in Hiku, a border settlement in southern Yunnan province, Huang Mingtang led the attack, which was supported by other revolutionaries like Wang Hushuan and Guan Renfu. Dr. Sun Yat-sen also played a role by ordering the uprising. Approximately 200 men, who were joined by revolutionaries who came from Vietnam. The revolutionaries were outnumbered and defeated by government forces. On April 27, 1911, led by Huang Xing, revolutionaries attacked the provincial governor's office of Guangdong and Guangxi provinces, but were outmatched by Qing troops. The uprising was a military failure. Many revolutionaries were killed, and Huang Xing was wounded but managed to escape. 86 bodies were found, but only 72 could be identified. The remains of the 72 revolutionaries were collected and buried together in a single location, initially called Honghuagong or Red Flower Mound. The location was later renamed Huanghuagong or Yellow Flower to commemorate the uprising and its martyrs. The Yellow Flower Uprising is symbolically represented by the chrysanthemum, which symbolizes an indomitable spirit that does not fear frost, as mentioned in Chinese culture. A mausoleum and memorial site were later built to honor the 72 martyrs and the cause they fought for. The uprising, though unsuccessful, was crucial for inspiring other revolutionaries and fueled the momentum that led to the Xinhai Revolution later in 1911. The beginning of the Xinhai Revolution. On the morning of October 9th, Sun Wu and his men hurriedly prepared a bomb, in which accidentally exploded. Drawn by the explosion, the police arrived on the scene and arrested several people. They also seized the membership registers with the names of revolutionaries within the Hubei New Army on. With the information, Ruiqing, the viceroy of Huguang, immediately blocked the Yangtze River and ordered a mass arrest. Many revolutionaries were captured or forced to flee. Meanwhile, secret revolutionary organizations across the country were being destroyed, and numerous revolutionaries were arrested. At 5 p.m., Jiang Yiwu rushed back to Wuchang from Yuiju. Faced with such a dire situation, and to minimize bloodshed, he issued an order in his capacity as commander-in-chief, setting the uprising for midnight that night. After the order was issued, military and police officers raided the area and arrested over 20 people, including Peng Chufan. Jiang Yiwu escaped in the chaos. That night, the governor's office ordered all camps and the military academy to close their doors, prohibiting entry and exit. Jiang Yiwu's order was not widely disseminated, and the uprising failed that night. In the early morning of October 10th, the arrested patriots, Peng Chufan, Lu Fuji, and Yang Hongsheng were executed. With Jiang Yiwu and his men away from Wuhan, the Revolutionary Army command was leaderless. Xiong Bingquan took advantage to call a meeting of representatives from each team to launch the uprising order by the headquarters. However, the representatives were filled with doubts. But Xiong Bingquan further elaborated on the stakes involved, saying, "Our roster was searched yesterday, and those arrested by name will soon be among us. I'll make the decision for you now. Instead of just sitting back and waiting to be arrested and killed, it's better to rise up and strike. As the saying goes, if we rebel, we die. If we don't, we die. We're going to die, so we'd rather die on Mount Tai. Moreover, if we can find a way to survive, we might as well succeed in one fell swoop and fulfill our revolutionary aspirations." The representatives accepted his advice and decided to launch the attack early that day and notify Kai Jimin of the 29th Regiment and Wang Wenjin of the 30th Regiment to meet on time. Xiong Bingquan impulsively deciding to postpone the uprising to 7 p.m. As the time of the uprising drew near, Xiong Bingquan patrolled the barracks, observing the situation. After the first roll call, Soldier Tao Qixing, arguing with his platoon leader, shot him dead. Xiong Bingquan immediately grabbed his gun and, with a last-ditch effort, fired 3 shots into the air, signaling the uprising and marking the beginning of the Wuchang Uprising of 1911. The rebels advanced with unstoppable force, capturing the Chuangtai Arsenal and the governor's office. At noon on the 11th, they occupied Wuchang. By the 12th, Hanyang and Hankow had been liberated. After capturing Wuchang, Xiong Bingquan led the rebel leaders to gather at the Red Building Auditorium of the Qing government's Hubei Advisory Council, establishing the Hubei Military Governor's Office, the military government of the Republic of China. The Wuchang Uprising garnered nationwide support. The Qing government, unwilling to accept the revolutionaries' establishment of a military government, launched a frenzied counterattack against the governor's office. The Hubei Military Governor's Office decided to expand its military and civilian forces, establishing the Fifth Coalition and appointing Xiong Bingquan as its co-commander. On October 15th, the Qing army arrived at the Hankow riverbank, and the military and civilians of the 3 towns of Wuhan rose up to meet the enemy. Xiong Bingquan led the Fifth Coalition into battle. In the first month of the first year of the Republic of China, the Republic of China established a provisional government in Nanjing, with Sun Yat-sen as provisional president on the 29th of December. Soon after, Yuan Shikai seized the gains of the 1911 revolution. To consolidate his dictatorship, he attempted to dismantle and divide the Revolutionary Alliance, suppressing revolutionary members. On February 12, 1912, Sun Yat-sen renounced the presidency, and Yuan Shikai was sworn into office on March 12, 1912. The Republic of China was born. Shortly after the nomination of Yuan Shikai, most of the revolutionary factions gathered in the Kuomintang Party, which dominated the first elected assembly. Other movements, such as the Chinese Communist Party, were about to appear on the social and political map. The nationalist movements were divided into 2 major groups: those who supported the emergence of a presidential state, and those who wanted to replicate monarchic rule with an ethnically Chinese Han Emperor. This unrest facilitated the appearance of local warlords who fought each other from 1916 to 1928. It was during this period that the Chinese Communist Party emerged as a major political player and engaged in military activities against the nationalist Kuomintang. The civil war between communists and nationalists carried on from 1927 to 1949, with a truce from 1936 to 1945 to focus on Japanese invaders. The Civil War eventually ended with the CCP taking power in mainland China, while the Kuomintang retreated to Taiwan, establishing an autonomous government. Nowadays, China is a key industrial power, as well as an important player in world politics. And Taiwan is also an important stakeholder in international affairs, being the main manufacturer of semiconductors and various commodities exported worldwide. However, tensions between the two regimes persist to this day, and the fires of conflict still threaten the region.